disciplinary procedures. Now we will discuss in more detail one form of discrimination in the workplace, sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is considered discrimination on the basis of sex, and it is a very serious issue that everyone in the workforce needs to be aware of. The House of Representatives takes allegations of sexual harassment very seriously. Sexual harassment is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. It is the House's goal to create a workplace free from sexual harassment and where all are treated with dignity and respect. The House's sexual harassment policy can be found in the House Personnel Manual Personnel section. Please read the policy in full in addition to completing this training. Before we begin, let's watch another clip from The Office.
Everybody, hello, can I have your attention, please? Since it's Valentine's Day, there's something that I wanted to say. I love the women of this office. Pam, I love you. I love you, Angela.
Yes, even you.
I love you, Kelly. I love you, Meredith.
This clip was from the TV comedy The Office. The male supervisor unwittingly makes the receptionist uncomfortable with his announcement of love, the gift of a rose, and then a kiss on the hand. He does not realize that his actions place the receptionist in an awkward position and unfortunately does not stop there but continues around the room, handing out roses, kissing the hands of other female employees, and telling them that he loves them. Actions of this nature can be, and often are, considered as sexual harassment and may lead to an employee's claims of a hostile work environment. While this particular incident may be relatively innocent and well-intended, it could still make others in the workplace uncomfortable, and repeated or more serious incidents of this kind could lead to a sexual harassment claim. And unfortunately, other potential forms of sexual harassment in the workplace may be much more extreme. This presentation is designed to help everyone better understand what sexual harassment looks like, what to do if you have been subject to harassment, and reporting options available to you. Before we begin, let us outline what we will cover. First, we will discuss what sexual harassment is, types of conduct that may constitute sexual harassment, who can be involved, where it can occur, and some of the consequences of sexual harassment. Next, we will discuss why sexual harassment training and awareness is important and how it affects the work environment. Next, we will look at the House of Representatives' policy on sexual harassment. Then we will outline your responsibilities in helping the House maintain a sexual harassment-free environment. Let's begin by defining what sexual harassment is. Sexual harassment is any unwelcome sexual advance or request for sexual favors, or any other verbal, written, electronic, or physical conduct of a sexual nature if it is made explicitly or implicitly a term or condition of an individual's employment, affects any other employment decision, unreasonably interferes with work performance, or is intended to or has the effect of creating an intimidating, hostile, or otherwise offensive work environment. Sexual harassment is considered a form of discrimination based on sex and therefore is a violation of the Federal Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Texas Commission on Human Rights Act. Sexual harassment may also be a violation of Chapter 21 of the Texas Labor Code, which prohibits employment discrimination, and Chapter 39 of the Texas Penal Code, which deals with abuse of office. Specifically, subjecting an individual to sexual harassment could constitute a criminal offense of official oppression. There are two forms of sexual harassment. The first is quid pro quo, this for that scenario. The second is a hostile work environment. Either of these scenarios can lead to a charge of sexual harassment, but they may happen together. In the next slide, we will talk more about these two forms and what they entail. Quid pro quo sexual harassment is probably what comes to mind first when you hear the words sexual harassment. A supervisor propositions a subordinate employee or job applicant with either the promise of a promotion, raise, or job offer, or the threat of an adverse employment decision. In these cases, there is some tangible action or loss that a victim can point to, which may prove that harassment has occurred. This type of harassment generally occurs between a supervisor and a subordinate employee, since the nature of it is based on reward or punishment associated with job position or compensation. However, this is not always the case. A single incident of quid pro quo harassment is illegal and could be grounds for a lawsuit or criminal accusation. Hostile work environment harassment occurs when there is a frequent or pervasive unwelcome sexual comments, advances, requests, or other similar conduct. It can also occur when there is other verbal or physical conduct that is sexual in nature. This can include explicit or suggestive items that are emailed, texted, electronically provided, or displayed in the workplace that interfere with job performance or that create an abusive or hostile work environment. Although the law does not prohibit simple teasing, offhand comments, or isolated incidents that are not very serious, harassment is illegal when it is frequent and severe enough that it creates a hostile work environment. There does not have to be a tangible loss to be considered harassment, and it can be found across all levels of employees, not just in a supervisor-subordinate relationship. This type of harassment can also affect anyone. The behavior may be found to be offensive to someone that it was not directed at. In this case, the behavior could still be considered sexual harassment as it may have contributed to a hostile work environment. Some examples of behavior that might be considered sexual harassment include sexual pranks or repeated teasing, jokes, or innuendo, touching or grabbing of a sexual nature, repeatedly standing too close to or intentionally brushing up against a person, repeatedly asking a person to socialize during off-duty hours when the person has said no or has indicated he or she is not interested, or off-duty, unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature that affects the work environment. Who in the workplace can commit sexual harassment? The answer to this question is anybody. Employees at all levels and even non-employees can commit sexual harassment. Harassment can also occur between members of the same or opposite sex. Who can be a victim of sexual harassment? Again, the answer is anybody. Any member, employee, or intern could be a victim of sexual harassment. The victim could be the target of statements or actions, or they could be bystanders or witnesses to such acts. Where can sexual harassment occur? It obviously can happen in the workplace, but it can happen outside of the workplace as well. Harassment can also occur online, whether it involves social media, texts, emails, or any other electronic communications. There are many reasons the House policy prohibits any form of sexual harassment in the workplace. The most important part of the House policy is to ensure that everyone is treated with dignity and respect. Engaging in sexual harassment violates the policy of the House. Members, employees, and interns are encouraged to report sexual harassment using the complaint processes outlined in the House policy and in this training so that violations may be dealt with promptly and effectively. In addition, supervisors should take appropriate action regarding potential sexual harassment that is reported to them or of which they otherwise become aware. It is also important for the House to remain in compliance with state and federal laws. Next, let us have a more in-depth look at the House's policy on sexual harassment. As we have stated, the House is committed to creating and maintaining a work environment free from sexual harassment. This policy can be found in the House Personnel Manual in the Personnel section. Sexual harassment is a very serious matter that may result in adverse employment action against the offender, up to and including termination or other appropriate sanctions. It may also result in civil and/or criminal investigations. Part of the policy is the requirement that all House members, staff, and interns complete this training within their first 30 days of office, employment, or internship as applicable. You are also required to complete this training every 2 years. The certificate of completion that you receive at the end of this training will be held by the House Payroll Personnel Office as part of your official record and is public information. So, what should you do if you experience sexually harassing behavior? You can inform the offender that the behavior is unwelcome and should stop. This sort of discussion may stop the behavior, particularly if it is not yet very serious. However, you do not have to confront the offender and should not do so if you do not feel safe. If you do not want to confront the offender directly, or if you have talked to the offender and the behavior has not stopped, or if you believe your complaint has resulted in retaliation, you may pursue your sexual harassment complaint through either the internal or external complaint process, which is outlined in the House policy and discussed in detail on the following slides. The House encourages reporting of any incidents of sexual harassment. If you were the target of harassment, you should feel safe reporting any incidents. However, if you were not the direct target, but you witnessed an event or had an incident relayed to you, it is important that you report what you know as well. Every allegation of sexual harassment is handled on a case-by-case basis since every scenario is potentially different. Depending on the severity, who is involved, or what is alleged to have taken place, you have options on where to file a complaint. If the offender is a House employee or intern, you may contact the manager of the House Payroll Personnel Office at 512-463-0865. However, if the offender is the manager of payroll personnel, or if you feel that the manager would have a bias in the matter, you may file a complaint with the chairman of House Administration at 512-463-0784. If the offender is a member of the House, you may file a complaint with the chairman of House Administration. If the offender happens to be the chairman of House Administration, or if you feel like the chairman would have a bias in the matter, you may pursue your complaint with the vice chairman of the committee. The goal here is to provide you with options in filing a complaint so that you can feel secure making your report and feel that your case will be investigated by an impartial party. If necessary, external resources, such as an outside investigator, may be used to ensure an impartial and thorough investigation. Once a complaint has been filed, the investigation and eventual resolution will be handled as discreetly as possible. The identity of victims and witnesses and statements made in the investigation will be protected from disclosure to the greatest extent allowed by law. All individuals subject to House policy who learn the identity of the victim or witness or of the details of the complaint in the course of an investigation are expected to maintain the confidentiality of this information, and the release of the information may violate the law and may constitute a separate violation of House policy. During the investigation, steps will be taken to ensure that the harassing behavior ceases and to protect the individual that has made the claim from retaliation. Temporary changes to work assignments may occur to keep the complainant and the alleged harasser separated, or emergency leave may be granted. Once the investigation is complete, if it is found that sexual harassment has occurred, appropriate action will be taken to remedy the situation. These actions will be proportional to the severity of the harassing behavior and may include a written reprimand, a demotion or a transfer, suspension without pay, termination, or other appropriate sanctions. You do not need to follow the internal complaint process to file a complaint of sexual harassment. However, doing so may allow issues to be handled more quickly and before they become more serious. We will now discuss the steps you can take to file a complaint with one of the agencies that handle claims of sexual harassment. The EEOC and the Texas Workforce Commission Civil Rights Division handle claims of discrimination and harassment, and you have the right to file a complaint with either of these agencies. The Civil Rights Division of TWC can be reached at 512-463-2642 or at 888-452-4778. The EEOC can be reached at 800-669-4000. Each of these agencies have strict timelines for filing a complaint, and these deadlines can be as short as 180 days from the last date of the alleged harassment. Filing an internal complaint with the House does not stop these deadlines from running. Another important note is that federal laws enforced by EEOC may not cover unpaid interns as they are not considered employees. However, student interns may be covered by Title IX of the Educational Amendments of 1972, and all unpaid interns are covered by state anti-harassment laws as well as by House policy. Here it is important to note that some incidents of sexual harassment could be so severe as to cross the line into sexual assault. In addition to the resources described above, the appropriate law enforcement authorities should also be notified of such incidents. If you have been the victim of sexual harassment, the House offers a way to get counseling to its employees. Starting January 1st, 2018, the House is contracted with Alliance Work Partners, AWP, to provide an employee assistance program. AWP offers a wide range of services to the employees of the House, including up to 6 counseling sessions per issue. They are a tremendous resource, and employees should feel free to contact them at 800-343-3822. Anyone who, in good faith, files a claim of sexual harassment is a witness, assists in the investigation, or otherwise participates in any way in the process of investigating or adjudicating an incident is protected against retaliation. Retaliation includes any adverse action affecting an individual's position or future position for opposing a discriminatory practice. Retaliation also applies to threats of action or any form of intimidation to prevent the filing of a complaint, aiding of an investigation, or the adjudicating of the complaint. Any form of retaliation may constitute a separate violation of this policy. An individual who reports sexual harassment in good faith continues to be protected from retaliation even if the investigation reveals that no sexual harassment occurred. Additionally, whistleblower protections that are available to public employees in Texas may also apply. Everyone who works in the House bears the responsibility for helping to maintain a harassment-free work environment. Everyone should know and comply with the House's policies and procedures for reporting. Knowing what to look for and what to do is very important. That is why the House has mandated that all members, employees, and interns complete this training within 30 days of office, employment, or internship. Additionally, you must complete this training every 2 years after your initial completion. If there is an investigation to any wrongdoing, it is your responsibility to cooperate with the investigation. Those who make allegations and witnesses are protected against retaliation for participating in an investigation.